What's up, what's happening? It's one only Jeff Axel out here with my man Nick Andre from the Best Damn W Show. And we out here talking about WNBA basketball, man. Like a lot of my guys on the hoop panel really don't talk, watch, or follow. So I had to get my man Nick Andre. Like it's been an intriguing season so far. How you living, man?
I'm good, man. It's a pleasure to be on, dog, man. I'll be real, man. This first month of the W season, great hoops, bro. Really great hoops. I mean, despite all the crazy narratives that's been going around in the media and stuff, like when you look at it from a basketball perspective, it's been great hoops, man. So I'm excited to be on here and talk.
Absolutely. We just want to get started straight to the positive teams that's been playing well. I want to start off with the Phoenix Mercury. So shout out to Satu, new location, looking good, 20 points per game, 8 rebounds a game. Shout out to Alyssa Thomas, just the versatility queen. The fact that they're 12-4 and the Connecticut Sun are 2-14, that just speaks volumes to how impactful she is. 15, 10, and 7 on the season. They just got Philly Cop back. She averaging 13, getting back to the flow of things. They played really well, man. Like a lot of depth, a lot of contributors. The rookie, I forgot her name, but she's like a really good contributor so far. She got the name with the hyphen in it. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know you're talking about. Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I know you're talking about. I'm gonna look it up just real quick. Talking.
She impressed me yesterday against Liberty. I had caught some of that game. They beat Liberty about 15, but they just played with pace. They played with force. They seem like they got a lot of home games, though. Like them, Seattle and Golden State. I haven't really seen them on the road too much this year, unless I'm tripping. But
I mean, to tell the truth, this whole W schedule has been crazy. So I can't even tell you honestly. There's been teams that played at least like 3-4 times already in 1 month. It's absolutely insane, honestly. But the Mercury have been good. The Mercury, to me, have definitely over exceeded expectations because I actually didn't even have them making the playoffs this year. And it's not because they weren't a good team, but it was just I just feel like this season, like there's gonna be so many dominant teams, and especially with you look at the Mercury circumstances, this is the first year post Diana Taurasi, the first year post Brittany Griner. So now it's like, okay, this is gonna be an adjustment. I know that they still have Kalia Copper, but now you're bringing in 2 all-star caliber players in Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabali. Sometimes that may take time to really get that gel and get that flow. And then on top of that, Kalia Copper missed like the first nearly month of the season as well. So I'm like, okay, Phoenix is probably gonna take some time to figure things out. But once they do, they'll hit the ground running. And they've gotten off to a hot start. I mean, hell, their first game against Seattle got that win. They just been really able to I think they do just a really good job as far as like just really playing hard on both ends. Like I think defensively, they really know how to slow down teams, disrupt the half court offense, really get in the passing lanes to force turnovers. Then, of course, defensively, they move the ball really, really well. And I think the one thing that I will say is that with Phoenix, one of my biggest concerns was the backcourt because I just felt like they didn't have enough. I mean, of course, you got great wing players like Satu, like Kalia Copper. Then, of course, you got a big like Alyssa Thomas as well. So I knew like the other positions were great, but I was really questioning the backcourt and how they were produced. I'm gonna say in her first year with this team, Sammy Wickham has been shooting the lights out this season. I think that she's played a huge role as far as in their early success so far. You talked about Satu Sabali. Satu's playing with a chip on her shoulder. And I think obviously she understands, last year with her, which was her last season with the Wings, she didn't really play a lot, because she was dealing with injury and everything. So I think she's starting to really remind the world of who she was. Because remember, this was a most improved player back in 2023. So when Satu is healthy, Satu is one of the more dynamic players. And on top of that, she's becoming more consistent on the perimeter, which I do love to see out of her. Because with her and her style, she's so dynamic, whether it's getting downhill, attacking the basket, being a great decision maker, finding open players for quality shots. So Satu has always been that dynamic, and I think with her bringing that now to this Phoenix team, that's definitely played a role. And on top of that, she's been rebounding at a very high level too. Alyssa Thomas, I think AT got to be in those MVP conversations. You talk about currently leading the league in assists, like just the way that she's able to run a half court offense with her size and with her versatility is just super incredible to watch. And then on top of that, when she gets downhill, she's super dynamic as far as finishing and as far as finding open shooters with her great vision. AT's had that team running, honestly, and I think because of her being able to set the tone, you see how everybody else has been able to produce as well. And then you're bringing back in Kalia Copper. Kalia Copper, for those who don't remember, had a career year last year. It was I'll be real, like To me, last year nobody was winning above Asia, but I think Kalia Copper was most definitely in those MVP talks last year. If you ask me, like she was just scoring at a very high level, and her shooting had continued to improve as well because she was always known as a player who could attack downhill, and finish around the rim. But her becoming more consistent on the perimeter, that's what has continued to elevate her as a player and put her in those talks as one of the best players in the league. So Phoenix's success, like it shocked me, but it also hasn't at the same time because I know what these players are made of. And I think now moving forward, I mean, they got to be the team that everybody looks out for, because they're one of those teams that are definitely in contention.
Yeah, they just have a lot of different elements. You got like you mentioned, the slashing, the outside shooting, how hard they play. They're definitely in the contenders mix so far. What they did in New York yesterday, it was definitely noticeable. They controlled the pace of that game. They was able to score pretty easily. Put up 106 on New York. It was like, all right, they got something cooking down there.
And that's a good defensive New York team too. And I mean, I know that they're missing John Quill right now due to the injury, so maybe that's why they're missing that rim protection and that versatility as far as switching and everything. But I mean, it's still hard to beat New York. I mean, especially when you got Sabrina, you got Stewie, you got Natasha Cloud. So for them to beat them and beat them by double digits and score over 100 on them, that's impressive.
For sure. So next team we want to go to, shout out to Seattle Storm. It's been some allegations against the coaching staff, but Skylar Diggins looking for revenge. She done got divorced. She out here looking for blood. 19 a game. Gabby Williams, 14, 5 and 5. NECA, one of the most underrated players in WNBA history. 18 and 8, just solid once again. Just people forget that she was MVP one time. Like, she really don't get her just due as far as.
And that's crazy too because that was the same year the Sparks won the title that year in 2016.
Yeah, she don't get her credit, man. She definitely one of the most underrated players ever. And shout out to Erica Wheeler too, because I'm surprised she's averaging 11 a game. To be honest with you, she was always like good, like bench player. But I didn't see what she's doing this year at all. Like, she definitely sounds she's found a home there. They just play with great energy. They play physical. They push the pace. So outside the allegations, Jewel Lloyd, she throwing a lot of dirt on their name and like the whole WNBA Players Association fiasco and all that. And then the one girl requested a trade, requested to be released. Like, the fuck? It just seemed crazy. Like, what did Quinn be doing that had him so, like, angry and uptight? Like,
I honestly have no idea. I mean, to tell the truth, I mean, this is the second allegation that they've had in less than a year. I mean, the first one was like in November, December. That was with the whole Jewel and Skylar situation, and now here we are. Like, I think the new case was just released like a month ago or something like that. So I don't know, man. Like, it does look bad at it. Like, it does look bad at Seattle when you look at it from that perspective, but it clearly has not
on the court. So, like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it hasn't necessarily, translated to the court because they're really playing incredible basketball. And I think it's very interesting for Seattle because obviously with Jewel gone, who spent so many years there, won 2 titles, now this team is really in adjustment mode. I mean, obviously they're not in rebuild because they still have the talent, but I think a lot of people didn't know what to expect out of Seattle. Now, look, some people did have them as one of the top teams in the league. Me personally, I'll be real, I had them like ranked 7th, I believe, in the rankings. But their start to the season, and I know that they've had some inconsistencies here and there, but they proved to me that they're a legitimate team. I want to say probably the game that I realized it was when they played the Aces. Like, I think it was like the second or third game of the year. They blew them out by 20. Like, was literally raining threes, sharing the ball, really. And then on top of that, defensively, being able to trap Asia Wilson, being able to close out on shooters. So this Seattle team is really a force to be reckoned with. I mean, obviously it starts with Skylar Diggins. In my opinion, Skylar's been the best point guard in the league this year. I think that she's definitely deserving of All-Star. Skylar may not be the most talented player in the world, but the one thing that you can't take away from her is her heart and her hustle. And she's been able to display that obviously throughout her career all this season long. And I think that it's been able to translate to the rest of the players on Seattle, which is why they're playing well. So when your best player sets the tone like that and it's competing on both ends, that's going to rub off on the rest of the team. NECA, I'll be honest and say that this, at least to me, I don't know what the numbers look like, but to me, NECA, I don't think NECA's looked this great since her MVP year, to be honest, back in 2016. And I'm not saying that as if NECA has never been good even after that, because NECA's always been great throughout the course of her career. But NECA's different this year, man. And I know that last year was a really big year for her in her first year in Seattle, especially with her being able to step out and knock down a three ball at a very high clip. I think she shot like in the 40s, something like that from three, which is really good for a big. But even this year, it's the footwork, it's the ability to score in the mid range. Obviously, being able to space the floor, being able to score off of post touches. Like NECA has been doing so much for the Seattle team, honestly, and I know a lot of people are putting her in those MVP talks too. Honestly, I don't know if I'm necessarily there yet. I want to probably see a little bit more, but I know a lot of people who are putting NECA in those MVP talks. And I'll be real, how can you deny it, honestly, because she's been incredible this year. And then you look at the rest of the players as well. Like you mentioned Erica Wheeler. Like Erica Wheeler has always been a quality shooter, and she's doing that at a very high level. Gabby Williams, for people who don't know, she's averaging a career high in like multiple, at least 3 or 4 categories this season alone. So Seattle is a team that you have to pay attention to because they pretty much beaten almost damn near every top team in the league. Honestly, when you think about New York, I I don't think they've beaten Minnesota yet. But then they just also, I mean, like I said before, they beat the Aces too. They beat the Aces twice, even on their home floor too. So Seattle's shown that they're clearly one of the top contended teams right now in the league, honestly. And like I said, I know that they can be inconsistent at times, but when it comes to playoff time, this team will be ready. So be on the lookout for them.
Sure. Now we're gonna slide to the East Coast. So a lot of people thought this was gonna be a rebuild year, first year coach. Shout out to the Atlanta Dream. Alicia Gray is having a career season, averaging 20 and 5. Even though some people feel like she's an enigma, when she's on, I love Ryan Howard's game when she's on. Like sometimes she'll take some shots. It's like, yo, come on, man. Like what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Other times when she's on, she's fun to watch. She's averaging 18, 5, 5, and 2. Shout out to one of the most underrated players in the W. Harford County, Maryland zone. Seen her when she was like 14 years old. She was averaging 20 plus back in the day. She went to the same high school as me, Bree Jones, averaging 13 and 8. Looked really, really good. Has looked better than Griner, in my opinion, in Atlanta. Griner's averaging 10 and 6. Pow Pow's had some good production. But like I said, I'm just really impressed with Alicia Gray, the way she's playing offensively and defensively. How are you feeling about Atlanta right now? They're exceeding expectations.
They are exceeding expectations. I mean, you talked about a lot of the new circumstances. You come in and you bring a new head coach who has never coached at a professional level, but had a lot of great success when he coached at Florida Gulf Coast. So that was one of the biggest things for me as well. Then on top of that, you bring in a lot of new players, like whether it's Bree Jones, Brittany Griner, Shatori Walker, Kimbrough, and just a couple other players now who have to find ways to gel with the original players like Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Naz Hillman, Nia Coffey, or whoever it is. But they've been playing well too. More so recently, they've been struggling. They just lost their last two. The first one to Dallas on Tuesday, and then they just lost last night to Minnesota. I mean, the talent is there for Atlanta, and you're seeing it, and you're seeing literally every player take their game to another level. I mean, you mentioned Alicia Gray. Alicia Gray, in my opinion, is definitely in those MVP talks. Like you talk about how she's been able to elevate her game. I mean, obviously she's always been a good shooter. People saw that last year during All-Star Weekend when she won a 3-point contest, but then also at the same time as well, like her defense is continuing to take another level, and on top of that, her playmaking is too. Like her vision is really underrated, honestly, and I don't think I've really seen, like, we may have seen glimpses of it in the past, but her passing has been really incredible this year as far as finding open shooters on the weak side, being able to draw and kick, so just doing a multitude of things for this Atlanta team and just being able to lead the way, honestly. Ryan Howard, I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about Ryan Howard because there may be moments where she's locked in, there may be moments where she's not doing what she's supposed to do, but you can't deny the talent. Ryan Howard has incredible talent, and she's another player who maybe hasn't shot the ball well all year long, but she's still a sniper from three. She's still a really great playmaker, and she's continuing to take strides on the defensive end as well. So I give Ryan Howard a lot of credit. And I mean, it's still early on in this season, so obviously she has a lot of time to adjust and figure herself out. But surely I'm hoping that she does. Bree Jones, you mentioned Bree Jones. I think that her contribution to this team has not been appreciated enough. When you talk about how she's been able to adjust her game, because I'll be real, she didn't play this type of style when she was in Connecticut, honestly, especially with her being the sixth woman off the bench. But now you're seeing her more so get after defense. I mean, she's always been a really good rim protector around the rim, but then also offensively spacing the floor effectively, getting downhill, being able to run on the fast break and finish on the fast break. So Bree Jones's importance to this team has not been highlighted enough, and I think probably most of that probably has something to do with obviously playing next to Ryan and playing next to Alicia. But Bree Jones has been incredible this year, honestly. Same thing with Naz Hillman. Naz Hillman was also another core piece with that group with Ryan and Alicia. She's been incredible off the bench for them. Obviously, being able to produce on both ends of the floor. Her screening has continued to be well. And then on top of that, Tahina Paopao. I'll be real and say that. Like I'll be real and say that I knew that Tahina would have a good career, but I didn't know that it would I didn't know her production would be this fast. And what makes it crazy is that as a rookie, she looks so comfortable being her, like shooting the ball. You can see her score more off the dribble. She's finding ways to attack and finish around the rim. Her playmaking has been great as well. Her defense still needs work, but you can see her putting in that effort as far as trying to get stops, especially having that task of guarding primary ball handlers. So Tahina Paopao is probably one of the bigger surprises for Atlanta this year, just because of her production, but also just how well her game is just translated to the W, honestly. But now, look, I mean, as great as Atlanta has been, they do have some issues. They do have some inconsistent moments at times, and especially late down the stretch. Like, for instance, in last night's game against Minnesota, they were up at least 8 or 9 points down the stretch. I want to say probably like 3-4 minutes left in the game. You got to find a way to keep your foot on the gas. And because they didn't keep their foot on the gas, Minnesota forced overtime, found a way to win. And you got to look at the circumstance, too. Like, this was Nafisa Collier's first game back. I know that she scored 11 in the first quarter, but she really wasn't shooting the ball well after the first quarter. And because she wasn't shooting the ball well after the first quarter, you guys found a way to capitalize off of that, find a way to, climb your way back into the game, but also take the lead. So when you look at it from that circumstance, if you're Atlanta, you got to find a way to close out that game. So late game execution has been one of the biggest issues for Atlanta. And I think that they need to find ways to play together and just continue to execute their offense well enough to where they can find ways to win, honestly, especially in a league like this. Like, the W is a tough league, and it is tough to get wins. So anytime you have that opportunity, you got to capitalize off of it. But aside from that, Atlanta has definitely over exceeded expectations. And, come playoff time, man, like they're possible of making a nice little run. We'll see.
Yeah, I noticed that when they played the Fever earlier this year, they had like a 4 or 5 minute scoring drought. After they was like getting anything they wanted at will. It was just like 5 minutes. They just could not score. They almost lost the game, but Boston missed the layup at the end. I was just like, they a little too talented to just be going scoreless for 5 minutes. Like, it's too much talent on that team to be doing that.
Way too much.
So I agree with you on that. But yeah, man, like the way they push the pace, like they get the points up in Atlanta. So I don't. Yeah, they gonna be a tough out. I don't think they better than New York or nothing like that. But in the East, they're a tough out. He wanted to bring it, man.
Yeah, they're not better. I don't have them in that same tier as like New York and then Minnesota or others, but I do think that they are good enough to give those teams problems depending on who they match up with in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Now we're gonna slide to the Midwest real quick. We made it 18 minutes without mentioning Caitlin Clark, but we gotta talk about the Fever. They're 8-8. Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell, averaging 19 points per game. Once again, productive as always, under the radar, just going about her business, getting buckets. Shout out to Aaliyah Boston, averaging 16-8. She's been playing pretty well this year. The Dewana Bonner situation was pretty weird. Like, a lot of Clark fans ain't really too thrilled with her right now. They out here calling her a quitter.
Yeah, they just create narratives. They have no idea what happened. Nobody has an idea of what happened, and they're just saying that she was toxic and was a quitter and all that. Like, we don't know why that woman decided to leave the team.
If it was because of that same player, because I've seen that narrative tossed out there. People don't like Sophie Cunningham. So it was like Tina Charles left Phoenix with Sophie Cunningham was in the locker room.
Yeah, I put out that tweet. That was a little messy by me, so I had to delete that.
I know that was you, my
man. No, it's good. It was me. Yeah, I put it out and then I had to delete it because I'm like, I don't need to be messy out here. But I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's primarily on Sophie. I just think that just the Fever community more so the fans have just been super toxic, honestly. And what's funny though is like I'm sure she probably knew this because DeWanda got a lot of heat before the season because I was in the presser, and they were asking questions about the upcoming season and everything. And one reporter had asked about like what the pressure is for them, and then DeWanda said, "Look, there was no. I mean, I don't think that there's any pressure on us because we haven't proven anything yet." Which I understood where she was coming from. So I ended up tweeting about it. I was like, "Yeah, DeWanda said this," and then Fever fans they were on her ass about that, man. I'm like,
Well,
dang.
I guess they don't know she won a championship in Phoenix, so she knows.
Yeah, that's what I had to remind them because they were calling her ringless and stuff. I'm like, oh, y'all definitely were not watching then.
But I hope she can find somewhere. I saw you tweeting about Chicago. I think that would make sense.
If I had to choose, it'll probably more likely be Phoenix just because Alyssa Thomas, they're engaged, so that's probably the best destination for her. Honestly, Phoenix was really the destination that she should have chosen all along. Honestly, I don't know why she decided Indiana over Phoenix, but I saw that there was obviously Phoenix and then there was Atlanta on her radar as well. I don't really know how she fits with Atlanta. Honestly, I mean, I think that she would fit well, but Atlanta's just playing so well with their supporting cast. Like, I don't know why she would have to come in and try to change that. I mean, that's just my opinion, but Phoenix would probably definitely be the better move for her if you ask me.
But with Indiana, Clark, she's averaging 18, 9, and 5. It's been like a lot of turnover issues. It's been some defensive issues too. Like some of that footage is kind of nasty. But I wouldn't really overreact to her being in a shooting slump. Like things, it's ebbs and flows throughout the season. Like every time Clark has a high turnover game, it's Angel Reese fans just jumping in like, see, y'all sitting here talking about shooter percentage and rah. And she ain't playing. Like, just let her progress throughout her career, man. Like every single game, Clark fans got a microscope clocking what Angel Reese is doing in the game, and vice versa. Like Angel Reese fans, every time Caitlin Clark, like, see, I told you, Paige better. Like, yo, Paige is cooking. Let her cook on her own. Don't throw her into your little animosity with Caitlin Clark. Like, no, enough. So that's just my message to the WNBA community. Y'all gotta relax. Just cheer for the player that you rock with, and just leave it at that. Like, you don't have to besmirch the name of another player just as you like one person. Like,
and I don't know why they feel like they have something to prove. Like, okay, cool. If Caitlin Clark's your favorite player and Angel Reese does not have a good game, like, what point are you trying to make off of that? Like, nobody has ever said that Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark. I've never said it. And I know a lot of people that have never said it. So I don't understand what point are you trying to prove. And on top of that, they're two different positions. Like, They don't do the same things. But, I mean, you look at it, like, they're both great at what they do. Angel Reese is, I mean, people may talk about the scoring, but she's an elite rebounder.
absolutely.
And she's been an elite. She's the best rebounder in the league without question. Rebounds at a very, very high level. And then Caitlin Clark is great at what she does. She's the best at what she does. She's a really phenomenal passer. So I just wish people really looked at it from that perspective and just said, hey, they're both great at what they do. Because you can't expect Caitlin Clark to do the same thing that Angel Reese does. And you can't expect Angel Reese to do the same thing that Caitlin Clark does. Like, I don't know. It's just everybody has, I guess everybody has a point to prove and everything. It's just crazy.
I just would rather just like cheer both of them on. I'm a little biased. I'm from Maryland. So I would like to see Reese really, really eat. I just don't get to the discussions. Sometimes she be having them shitty field goal percentage games. I'm like, I can't defend you, man. Like, I want you so bad, but you going 3 of 11. But recently she's been playing better. Like last 3 games she's been cooking. So I'm gonna put that out there. I don't want to. She got some games like what the fuck, but yesterday she had 17 and 18.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the exact stat sheet, but I mean, she's been playing better as of the last couple weeks. I mean, she had that triple double a couple weeks ago against Connecticut. That was really big. She had a really great performance earlier this week when they played against the Sparks. So
she be seeing red when she played Rakia. I don't know what it is. Like she be having some games against the Sparks. Like
no, she did. I mean, maybe it might have something to do with the fact that they were in the same draft class. I'm not sure, but hey.
Like her and Cardoso be turning it up when they play the Sparks. They look like how they supposed to.
Solid. And I'll be real. I mean, that's why they're gonna miss her a lot because I mean she's in Brazil, I believe it is, playing for her national team. So it's gonna be rough for Chicago move forward. Honestly, not having Camilla, because Camilla just brings such a dynamic to that team.
She was starting to look more aggressive and comfortable too.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, hopefully she comes back by August, right? Or how does it usually work? Or it's just rest of the season she's on?
I don't know the timetable. I want to say it is August, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back and check.
It's interesting. Now to two surprise teams, I'm gonna keep it real. When I saw the roster initially, I thought the Golden State Valkyries was a terrible team. I didn't expect them to get more. I said before the season, yo, they're like a 6-win team. They already got 8 wins, so they shut me the fuck up. Their coach has been doing an excellent job. Kayla Thornton, she's been cooking 16 a game. They got 6 players that average double figures. So they taking oh, y'all just think we're the rejects and all that. So for a franchise team to come in, brand new, no relocation and start off this well, it's very, very impressive. They seem like they got all their games at home, though. That's one thing. So I got to see how they look on the road if I really make a determination. But how you feeling about the Valkyries so far?
You talk about a team that's over exceeded expectations. They have most definitely over exceeded expectations out of everybody in the league. I was right there with you. I mean, when I looked at the expansion draft and when I looked at the opening night roster, I'm like, man, and it's crazy because I really feel like the roster had great players, but I just felt like these pieces don't work together. But they shut me up too. They definitely shut me up. I realized that they played the Sparks one time in LA. They found a way to win that. And I'm like, okay. And I mean, I know it's the Sparks. I know that the Sparks are one of the worst teams in the league, but I mean that even then, that's still a pretty big, impressive win. When the Aces went to go play them in San Francisco, beat the hell out of them. Hell Asia hell Asia to 17 or something like that. So that was a really big win in itself. I just think there's just a togetherness with this Valkyries team, and I think what also makes it impressive is they have a lot of. They may not have star players, but they have a lot of key veteran players. Like Kayla Thornton is a vet. Monique Billings is a vet. Tib Hayes is a veteran player. So they have great veteran players who have thrived in wherever team they were in the past, and they're bringing that dynamic to the team, honestly. And then you look at the young players as well. I think Kate Martin has really shown a lot of improvements this year.
Yeah.
They just signed Letitia Me here. She's been really great, on both ends of the floor. Chloe Bibby the same way. So Tammy
Fag Bentley.
Yeah, Tammy Fag Bentley has been playing well as well. So they may have one of the best depths in the league, honestly, if you look at it. I think that they're a really deep team, and it's kind of crazy to say that because talent-wise, I don't know if they match up with everybody else in the league, but they play together and they play hard on both ends. I mean, you talk about the coach Natalie. She's been I really do believe she has to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year, without question. With the way that this team is playing, especially with the pieces that they have, and they're finding ways to beat teams. Like I said, they beat the Aces. They beat Seattle, I believe that was last weekend or something like that. Even when they went to New York, the defending champs' house, and nearly won that game. It's just they could have found a way to close the game down the stretch. So the Valkyries have proven to me that they are legit. I don't believe that this is a fluke whatsoever with what they're doing. They just play hard on both ends. Kayla Thornton, like you said, is having a really great year. I think that she's in the most improved player conversations. And I don't think this team's slowing down anytime soon because they play a fun brand style of basketball, and it's a lot of effort and a lot of hustle out there for them.
Shout out to them. I think they said 8 of their next 10 games are going to be on the road. So we'll see how that goes. That could be a little rough. But like you said, man, they got a lot of impressive wins. So one when they beat the Aces by 30, I think it was. I was like, oh, yeah. They got something cooking over there. So other team I want to give credit to, Washington Mystics. Look way better than I think anybody expected. Brittany Sykes, the free throw merchant, but she is averaging 20 points per game this year. Kiki averaging 13 and 9. Sonia Citron averaging 14 and 5. Shakira Austin looking pretty comfortable, averaging 11 and 7. So I'm really surprised by them. It's been a while since they've been good. They lose Cloud. Deladon retires. So, and then Edwards was hurt to start the year. So it's really surprising that they're 8-8 at the moment. It would be cool to see them get a playoff spot? Because don't they have Chicago's? Oh, that was just this year's pick.
Yeah, that was Sonia Citron.
Somebody else got Chicago's pick too, though. They didn't say Minnesota got it or something like that.
It might be. I can't remember. I have to go back and look.
I know Chicago got Connecticut's pick, so they lucky about that for the Mabry trade. But that's kind of nasty. Yeah, it's just how you feeling about Washington? You think they can continue this momentum? Because like Shakira Austin, like she's been turning up the past few games. They got a little something with that front court and then Citron. Like that game against Dallas was crazy.
It was. The Mystics are good. Do I think that they can continue like what they started? Yeah. Especially if they can just continue to build that consistency. And I mean, they're another team that doesn't have a lot of star power. They're another team that many people were expecting. Okay, this is going to be a rebuild season, but they're another team that's been continuing to overexceed expectations, and it's kind of hard to like not count the Mystics out because they play and they compete on both ends, honestly. So, like I said, I mean, even though they may not have the talent, but they still find ways to win games because of how hard they play on both ends of the floor. You talked about Brittany Sykes, one of the more dynamic guards in the league, if you ask me, from scoring, from playmaking, obviously an exceptional perimeter defender. So she's been cooking on both ends. She's been really one of the ones to set the tone. I love Shakira Austin being healthy. And I was even telling people, I'm like, look, a healthy Shakira Austin is a dynamic player because of just the versatility that she brings. I mean, she can score on the inside. She can step out. She can occasionally knock down threes, but she can be a mid-range scorer as well, off of the face-ups. So Shakira Austin finally coming alive, especially with her being placed in the starting lineup. I mean, that's definitely benefited the Mystics over the past, probably week or so, especially in that win against the Aces. I think that was a really big win against the Aces the other night.
Yeah.
Kiki Iriafen, in my opinion, probably second in the Rookie of the Year race behind Paige Becker. She's overexceeded expectations. And for those who know, and I said this before on my show, the Best DMW show, just in this small package alone, with her rookie year in Washington, Kiki Iriafen has played better in the small frame than she did all year last year at USC. Just my opinion. She's been shooting the ball comfortably, finding ways to attack the rim defensively. Her first two games defensively, she had to guard Brittany Griner and Tina Charles and found ways to slow both of them down. Like you talk about how physical you can be, how physical you have to be, and just how dynamic of a defender you have to be to slow down those two centers. I mean, those are two centers that that are two of the greatest centers in W history, honestly. I mean, they're definitely in the conversation. So for Kiki to just continue to provide such effort on both ends of the floor has just been incredible. Sonia Citron, the same thing. Just her scoring has just been really big for the Mystics so far. And I think that's really the formula of the Mystics' future is just continue to work through your bigs. Because, I mean, you got too many dynamic bigs down there, whether it's Shakira Austin, Kiki Iriafen, Aaliyah Edwards. I know, they have Steph Dolson as well. So I think that's one of the biggest things is to continue to work through the bigs, just allow them to be their dynamic self, and then everything else will take care of itself, honestly. So the Mystics are on that trajectory of possibly making the playoffs this year. I know that they slightly missed it last year, but I'm sure, they could possibly find a way in this year.
Yeah, so it seems like it's going to be better teams in the playoffs this year. Last year, you had some teams that had some shaky records that was like fighting towards the bottom. It seemed like it's like more competitive and balanced this year. Like it's not the only bad teams really is Connecticut. Dallas is bad. Man Bun's only going to get 1 year as a coach, but they compete in every game. Like they're in every game. Like they're right there. They just don't close games well at all. They blow a lot of leads. But shout out to Paige. I think like I'm not trying to affect nothing with you. I know you've interviewed Enrique before, but I think she's gonna have to go somewhere else. Her and Paige, that dynamic ain't really working, in my opinion.
I mean, I think that should be the formula, though. Continue to build around Paige and just start fresh. Honestly,
yeah.
That.
Like, Enrique can cook somewhere else. I'm not saying she's a bad player.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see it with her and Paige. Sometimes Enrique is like, it's Enrique time. Fuck what you talking about. And Paige has been like really, really good to start a career. Like super efficient, low turnover rate. And that video was sad, man. In fact, she telling her vets to get some sleep. They out here drinking, they got their ass kicked. That just wasn't a good look, man. Paige ain't seen 13 losses her whole time in UConn. Now she got 13 losses in a month She over there on the bench looking befuddled, man. Like, I'm out here scoring 36. We losing by double digits. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Yeah, it's nasty on Dallas, man. I mean, Dallas, I knew that Dallas would have some struggles, but I figured they would find ways to figure it out. And they slowly are, honestly. I mean, they're definitely playing better than what they did in the first month, but I don't think it's enough, honestly, as I'm looking at this team. And I thought with the talent that they had, you bring in a player like Nalissa Smith from Indiana. This is a new situation for her. Dejanay Carrington comes over from Connecticut, and this is a player that won Most Improved Player last year. And if you watch Dejanay, you saw the improvements, as a scorer. Obviously, she's always been an exceptional defender. So you talk about you bringing that dynamic, that two-way dynamic to this Dallas team, like that's going to make them a lot better. But it just hasn't been able to translate at all this year. And I mean, I don't know if it's more so like the players' issues or the coaches' issues, but it's just not working.
Man bun, yo. I done seen like at least 8 clips, and she just was getting mad at him, wanted him to challenge something, and she didn't get back on defense and gave up a layup. And it's been a couple of clips where it's like, look, I understand you playing well, but you gotta relax a little bit. Like, let him cook a little bit. She ain't with it. He want it done for sure.
Yeah, I mean it sucks because I mean they have no business being this bad. That's the thing. Like when you look at the roster constructed, they don't have no business being this bad.
4-13 is crazy. Couple more teams to talk about, and then we'll get into our last discussion. But want to give credit to the last 2 teams that was in the finals last year. Start off with Minnesota. Nafisa Collier, MVP level basketball, 25 points, 9 rebounds per game. Fuck that stupid tweet talking about how she had privilege and all that dumb shit. Like, she's cooking, man. I'm not going to say she's the best player in the W. That's still A'ja Wilson, in my opinion. But, like, if you was to say number 2 or 3, I wouldn't be mad at you. Because Fee's been putting in work playing at an elite level for a long time. Shout out to Courtney Williams, 13, 6, and 4. Shout out to Kayla McBride, 16 and 4. Because their roster-wise, it doesn't look that great, but they just play at a high level. They execute. Cheryl Reeves just a hell of a coach. So how you feeling about the Lynx so far?
I mean, they're one of them teams to beat, honestly, man. I mean, you saw last year when they got to the finals, and they're probably playing more hungry this year considering that they lost last year. And I'll be real, like the finals could have really been in their hands, honestly, if they would have just played a little bit better in Game 5. But obviously, in a do or die Game 5, nothing's going to be efficient. But I mean, it's like you said, Minnesota's been clicking on all cylinders, honestly. And I think that's the one thing that makes them scary is, of course, you have Nafisa Collier, who's one of the best players in the league, and she's playing at an MVP level. I'll be honest, I have Nafisa winning MVP this year, but it's more than that, honestly. It's been literally the depth of this team and just how everybody's playing at a high level, whether it's Courtney Williams, Alana Smith, even other players as well, Bridget Carlton as well. So they have such tremendous depth on this team, and I think that's part of the reason why they've been able to succeed because they move the ball really, really well. They find ways to feed the bigs and pick your role. Bigs can also stretch the floor as well. So Minnesota just has such a dynamic offense and defense, honestly, that's really hard to really contain them. And even when Fee was out, because Fee was out for a couple of games like last week, they still found a way to get some success. I know they dropped a few games, but them just still being able to keep afloat and just finding ways to always win games has just been incredible. I mean, last night against Atlanta was a pure example of that. Fee didn't really play well after the first quarter. Found a way to kind of get it going late in the game, and then guess what? They found a way to win. So Minnesota has to be one of those teams that they have another shot at possibly winning the title. I know that they fell short last year, and I know that's in the back of their minds. And then on top of that, I think Fee has to have a chip on her shoulder too, because considering that she lost in the W finals last year and the unrivaled season after the Lunar Owls had the best record in the league, she got to have a chip on her shoulder. So I'm expecting a lot out of Minnesota, man. They have high expectations to win, and that's got to be the standard for them, throughout the season.
Yeah, man, definitely looking like a championship contender. Like you said, the fact that they was able to still stay afloat after Fia got hurt, and she just is so dynamic as a two-way player. And she even said she's motivated by that horrible missed no call in the finals. Like, I'm not big on the whole ref thing, but that was a terrible missed call.
It was.
And so she's using that as motivation. She said that herself. So shout out to her. Courtney Williams on Twitch. We'll see how long that goes. She's already said some interesting things early on this season.
Yeah, shout out to the what they call themselves, the stud buds. It's crazy.
Court, her and Sid Colson don't give a damn what come out their mouth, man.
Oh,
Like,
Sid is all for trolls. That's that. I mean, that's pretty much what she is. I mean, she's really a comedian outside of basketball.
Yeah, her and Courtney don't care, man. Them two, they got a career after they play for sure.
Easily.
But yeah, defending champ Liberty, Bree Stewart averaging 21-7, Sabrina averaging 19-5. John Quell, she's been hurt recently. She was averaging 12-10 before the injury. And they just looking strong again. Cloud has been a really good fit early on over there. Sabali's been playing better too since Jones has been out. Like, she seemed like she stepped her game up compared to last year. They're definitely missing Lainey Hamilton though. Like, she was on this team. It'd be like, I don't know if anybody beating them. I feel her absence. And Johannes is playing pretty well, but I don't know, man. Like, they can be beaten if they're not all the way healthy. Like, they're gonna need John Quell for sure.
They gotta have John Quell. Like, John Quell is like one of the hearts and the beats of that team, honestly, man. I don't think people really realize how important she is because maybe she's not really as outspoken as other people are. But John Quell brings so much dynamic to that team. Obviously, offensive. I mean, you look. I mean, she won Finals MVP last year. Like, there was no way that the Liberty were stopping John Quell Jones, and that's why I was even saying, like, look, like when she gets deep positioning and you have guards that can feed her with the entry pass, you got to allow her to go to work. And on top of that, she can step out, occasionally knock down the 3-point shot. This is a former MVP, and people got to understand John Quell is really one of them. I know that people like to focus on Stewie and Sabrina because both of them are incredible, but John Quell, there's a reason why they went to go grab John Quell because they understood her value and how much she could produce on both ends. I mean, I can even talk about the defense as well. Her rim protection, I think, is definitely missed right now by the Liberty. Her ability to switch on the smaller defenders. I mean, she can't really stay in front of them, but just being able to find a way to contain them with her length and her size, that's been really incredible as well. So John Quell, I mean, these next couple of weeks, I think it's like 6 weeks that she's out with this injury. Like, New York is really going to feel this. But aside from that, New York, like, the league runs through New York right now. It's got to run through New York. I mean, they're obviously the reigning champs, but they've came back even better this year than what they were before. I know that they're missing Benaja Laney Hamilton, but you talk about bringing in a player like Natasha Cloud, who is a former champion, one of the best two-way players in this game, honestly, a tenacious all-around player, and you put her in the front court next to a Sabrina Ionescu, like that's even scary in itself. When I first heard about it. And they've just been able to capitalize. I mean, obviously Natasha had that great first game on opening day against the Aces. Sabrina has been shooting the lights out. Whether it's her coming off of screens or her, scoring off the dribble, or her, coming off of the catch and shoot. Stewie's continuing to be Stewie. Stewie may not be as dominant as she used to be in the past, honestly, and I think that's more so just because of the team that she has around her. She doesn't have to put up crazy numbers, but Stewie is still a very dangerous player when she's in shot creation, even when she's getting post touches, or even when she's spacing the floor and knocking down 3-point shots. Stewie's still one of the more dynamic players in this league, and people got to always put respect on her name. But then also the supporting cast as well. I mean, I think that's what makes both New York and Minnesota great teams, because it's not only of the star players, but because of the surrounding pieces that they have around them. And New York has incredible surrounding pieces. I mean, you talked about Marine Johannes, you talk about Niara Sabali, you talk about Kennedy Berg, you talk about other players as well, who's coming off the bench for them and is giving great production. So I think that's what makes New York even more dangerous, is when your second unit can come in and they can make just as big of an impact as the starters can. And I think that we've seen that throughout the season. As of right now, like, if you had to ask me right now who's the best between both Minnesota and New York, and I'm not even just talking about record-wise, I think New York, honestly, is still the best team, honestly, because obviously they upgraded the roster this year, but also, I mean, they just look dangerous, and I don't even think they're in full form yet. So that's a scary thing. Like, once like the season kind of continues and obviously it winds down, that's when we'll see the Liberty at their best, and that's gonna be a scary sight to see.
Interesting. So before we get to our last topic, anything that we already mentioned, Dallas, we did mention Chicago. like Ariel Atkins, she's cool, but I said it when it happened. I didn't think she was worth getting up the number 3 pick for. But hey,
Well, you know what it is though. Like, I think a lot of people underestimated how talented this draft was. So when you
yeah,
looked at it back in like January, February, whenever the trade went down, you looked at it like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, it's just Sonya Citron. I mean, Sonya Citron's not like she's not a dynamic name like Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese or even Rakia Jackson or whatever it is. Now, if this is the 2024 pick, you're not giving that. You're not giving up that third pick. But in this draft, they looked at it like, okay, I mean, these are cool players, but they're not going to make that big of an impact. But then now you see what Sonya Citron is doing right now in DC. And you see Chicago currently, trying to figure things out themselves. So
Anderson
I think,
out for the year with the ACL.
yeah, I mean, and that's tough too. I mean, that's another tough one. But I think people and even the Skies front office, they underestimated this draft, honestly. And I think because of that, we see what's going on.
Yeah, so hopefully Angel can keep playing how she's been playing the past few games. I don't need the Reese's Pieces on my scout as far as the slander. So hopefully she plays well. The Sparks, I'm a little surprised they're this bad. I thought Plum was gonna do a little bit more for them. Like her and Hamby had moments. Rakia, I see you say it a lot. Like, man, they need to free her. She don't really look that comfortable. Maybe stick her in the corner and don't really let her create like that. I'm like, man, she's so skilled. They just got her as a corner.
It doesn't make sense to me, man. And it's like I get it, but also like when you look at last year, how Rakia Jackson was used compared to this year is night and day. Like you saw more of the shot creation with Rakia, whether it's finding her along around the elbow, feeding her the ball on the high post and allowing her to create. Like I just think now compared to last year is like night and day, honestly, to where we see now her more so being in the corner. They may run some sets with her off of the dribble handoff of her and De'Erica Hamby at times, but it's not a lot, honestly. And I think you got to find ways to put the ball in Rakia Jackson's hands because that's the only way that her confidence is going to be able to get up, honestly. If you just have her in the corner just waiting to shoot and you're not running any plays for her, her confidence is not going to be there. And I know that Rakia still has a lot to work on. I still think that she can, she's a good defender, but I know that she can take some strides on the end of the floor. I know that her decision making is not always at the best, especially when it comes to like finding open players or even feeding bigs with the entry pass. But Rakia is still a natural born scorer, and you still got to put the ball in her hands. I mean, this is a scoring league. You got to utilize your scores, and I get it. I know that Kelsey Plum has been leading the way for them offensively, but when you have a player like Rakia Jackson, you got to find a way to utilize her a little bit more.
I agree. I'll tell you what, man. Like, I seen a little fiasco with somebody who was like, they claimed they was close with her, but then it was like, oh, I'm not really that close with her. Try to distance themselves. They wasn't really too happy with Rakia's usage. I don't know if it was a friend or a relative or something, but she gonna request a trade in a year or two. They keep fucking around.
And you gotta think, I mean, you still got Cameron Brink coming back too. Like, I think the best thing for the Sparks is build around your young core. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see the issue with that whatsoever because, like I said, I mean, this team is bad. I don't think there's really a future with them personally building around Kelsey Plum or De'Erica Hamby. Just my opinion. I know that they're both champions, but both of them aren't franchise player caliber type players. Respectfully, I think that they're really great. I mean, both of them have been all stars, but I really think that they're great veterans that can help these young players. So I think if you surround this team around both Rakia and Cameron Brink when she comes back, and then you utilize Kelsey Plum, De'Erica Hamby, Azari Stevens, Odyssey Sims as like those key vets around them who can help them find ways to win or find ways to be successful in this league, I think that's the best formula, honestly, because your future is and literally is Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson. De'Erica Hamby's in her 30s. Kelsey Plum just hit her 30s. I think Odyssey's around her mid 30s as well. That's not the future of the team. And even if like you're trying to even if like you're trying to build around them now, they're not winning. They're not really succeeding like that. So I just think the best move is to just build around your young core and just build that future around them.
Yeah, they definitely got vets that are trying to show. This is Kelsey Plum's first time in a minute. She can show like I'm her. I'm gonna get some shot attempts. So with Asia and Jackie Young was getting a lot of shot attempts last year. I was just seeing her body language. She was like, man, I ain't shooting by like 5 possessions, yo. I'm trying to get some shit up. Like, I think that's why you kind of see the dynamic of Rakia getting in the corner. So it's just like, yeah, I think they need to go young for sure. And last thing before we go to the other teams, I mean the last topic. The Aces are really disappointing. It's crazy that Asia Wilson leads them in so many categories. The Jewel Lloyd trade hasn't been as productive as people thought it would be. Jackie Young's been playing well. But like if I'm the Aces, I'm calling up Connecticut and I'm freeing up Tina Charles. And I'm bringing her over to the front line because Kia Stokes isn't getting the job done, unfortunately.
Bro, I literally said during the offseason, Tina Charles was a free agent. She was an unrestricted free agent. I said the Aces need to go get Tina Charles. Absolutely. And everybody on Twitter was like, nah, that's not going to work and everything. I'm like, look, Asia, people forget just 2 years ago, Asia was playing with Candace Parker. And they found a way for that to work. And I know that Candace ended up getting hurt midway through the year. But when you look at that 18, 19 games that they played together, like she was making the game easy for Asia. I'm talking about Candace, I want to say. And Candace was benefiting off of that as well. So when you look at Tina Charles, who has always been a dynamic big, and she's shown that she doesn't have to score to be effective. She can also play make as a big as well. That could make the game easier for Asia as well, because we're looking now like, and I try not to be as disrespectful to Kia Stokes, but her playing in the front court with Asia is not benefiting them right now, especially with how they're double, triple teaming Asia every time she touches the ball, because they understand that like everybody else on the team is not really doing it or really like, giving that consistent production. I mean, Jackie's up there. Jackie's been playing well, but she can also be a hit or miss at times. Chelsea Gray hasn't really got her groove yet this year. Jewel has been kind of a hit or miss, even though she's been starting to play a little bit better, in the more recent games. So that's been the biggest issue for the Aces is obviously, the rest of your starting players not giving that consistent effort, because, I mean, this is a team of 4 Olympians. Like Jewel Lloyd, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray were all on last year's Olympic team. You would think with a starting lineup this talented, they wouldn't have the issues that they have, but unfortunately they do, honestly. And then on top of it, you look at depth, honestly. I mean, I don't think the Aces have the same depth as far as, as when you look at other teams like New York or Minnesota. And I think that has a lot to do with the front office. The front office is not getting quality players. And look, I'm not saying every player is bad, because Aaliyah Nye, the rookie, she's been playing incredible basketball. Dana Evans has been giving some pretty good production as well. But to me, like outside of that, honestly, like you haven't really gotten consistent production from everybody else. I mean, Liz Kelly has been here or there. Kirsten Bell hasn't really given the best production. I mean, she's had some small moments, but her bad moments kind of outweigh the good moments. So I just think the Aces, like they'll make the playoffs just because you still have the best player in the world in Asia Wilson. And as long as you have Asia Wilson, especially playing at her best, she's going to find a way to get this team to the playoffs. But it's hard for me to see a deep playoff run for the Aces, honestly. But look, I mean, there's still a lot of games left in the season, and maybe they could possibly turn things around. But right now, I can't put them in the same tier as like a New York and Minnesota, honestly, respectfully.
Like I said, we ain't trying to be disrespectful, but I'm going to look it up, just make sure it's like not cat. Somebody was like, Kia Stokes was averaging like 1 point per game. I'm about to look it up, make sure I ain't tripping.
I'm about to say, I honestly would not. I mean, I don't know her stats off the back of my head, but I also just wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, honestly, because she really has not been at her best this year, and I think it's more so hurting the Aces rather than really benefiting them. And I understand Kia Stokes was a part of those teams that won the title back a couple years ago, but the league has gotten better. Like ever since the Aces last championship, we saw Minnesota come on the rise. We've seen Phoenix come on the rise. New York has obviously been in that same conversation, but they've also gotten better. Everybody, same thing with Indiana. Indiana's came onto the scene as well. Everybody else pretty much has gotten better outside of the Las Vegas Aces, every contender I'm talking about. And I think, and I get it, you still have Asia Wilson, you still have Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd, Jackie Young, but it's going to take more than that. Like you look at New York. New York has Stewie, Sabrina, Jonquil, but then you also have a great supporting cast around them. Then you look at Minnesota, you got Fee, you got Courtney Williams, and then you have a great supporting cast around them. Like it takes a whole team in order to win. You got to have great production from both your starters and your second unit in order to win. And I just feel like with the Aces having inconsistencies in the starting lineup, and on top of that, you're not really getting a lot of production from your bench. That's been the issue why they haven't really been able to find that rhythm. And on top of that, I guess you could say the age of concussion definitely hurt them, because they lost like I think 3 or 4 in a row around that time. But still, like the Aces just they have a lot of issues that they got to fix, at least like as the season does continue.
So it's not 1 point per game. It's 2.3 points and 6 rebounds. As a starting center, they got called about Tina Charles. I'm sorry. Because, like,
the crazy thing is like, I don't think the Aces got assets to get Tina Charles, honestly, man. I mean, who are they going to trade? I mean, Kia Stokes. If I'm Connecticut, I'm not going for Kia Stokes.
Or at least release her or something.
Yeah,
she's averaging 16 and 5 in like year 16, bro. Like she's averaging. Man, free Tina Charles, please. That Connecticut team's rough, man. Like her and Marina in hell, dog.
I don't even understand why she chose to go there. I mean, I guess maybe that was the team that paid her the most, but I mean, she knew that this team was going to be in rebuild mode. She had to have known.
Rebuild mode without your draft picks.
Exactly.
Hey, a situation, boy. But last topic. People don't really discuss the WNBA champions, so when we do this show, we're going to do a start bench cut of WNBA dynasties. Shout out to all the championship teams of the first 29 years, 28, 29 years of the league's existence. So, yeah, we're going to start off with the Houston Comets from 96 to 2000. For those that don't know, they had got won the first 4 championships in the league. You had Cynthia Cooper, who through those 4 years, she was averaging 21 points and 5 assists. Swoops, first year, she was in the championship. She was recovering from the pregnancy, but second year, she averaged 16, then averaged 18, then averaged 21. Tina Thompson averaged 13, and 17 throughout that run. They were just dangerous, man. Like, for those that ain't familiar, Cooper came into the league at 34 and ran off multiple MVPs, multiple championships. Her scoring prowess was crazy. She could take you off the dribble. She could shoot. Her slashing was crazy. Quick first step. Great finishing ability. She was tough to guard, man. Swoops, for those that don't know, I know the Clark Klutz clan hates her, but she's just amazing two-way player, 3-time MVP. Could shoot from 3. Her slashing was crazy. Was great in open court. Her quickness in open court was really dynamic. She would play passing lanes crazy. And Tina Thompson, inside out post work, left hand hook, fadeaways, 3-point shot too. Just an elite 3-level score. That's tough to beat because I got them on my bench. Because I didn't even explain like all 3 teams. My fault, y'all. But it's going to come together. So start bench cut, 96 through the 2000 Houston Comets, the 2010s Minnesota Lynx, and the 2020 Las Vegas Aces. That's who we're starting off with. So we asked on Twitter, and it was 43% and 43% between the Comets and the Lynx. Surprisingly, the Aces got 1 vote, but my thing with Minnesota, man, you had Maya Moore, who's getting 20 points a game. Simone Augustus will give you 20. Sylvia Fowles is the difference maker. That's why I'm starting them. Because although Tina Thompson was going to get off, she would have had to go against Sylvia Fowles and Rebecca Brunson, who was averaging about like 13 and 8. And then Natasha Howard was a rookie backing her up. Then you had Lindsay Whalen at point guard, who is one of the most underrated point guards in WNBA history. She could shoot and just run the show. And then they just had Gia Perkins off the bench. She was kind of like a female Lou Will, hitting mid-range shots. And then Renee Montgomery, Monica Wright. They just could go 10 deep. And shout out to Angel McCautry even catching a couple games off of them when they played in the finals. Because that Minnesota team was just dominant. It is really – they don't get enough justice. I think they're the best dynasty ever. Houston right behind them. But the Aces, their peak team when they had Hamby there, that's a pretty tough team. I don't know if they really belong with the other 2 teams, but them in Detroit, them in like the early 2000s Sparks, Lisa Leslie Sparks with Alicia Milton-Jones and all them, like that's a tough matchup too.
It is. It definitely is. You know, it's crazy. Because I was talking, you know, we were talking earlier before, and you were asking me this question. I was like, you know what, I might have to put the comments as my start, but I'm probably gonna switch it. I'm probably gonna put Minnesota just because if I'm looking at just talent wise, now look, the Comets were talented easily. I mean, you talk about Cynthia Cooper coming in at 33, 34 years old, winning 2 MVPs, and pretty much proving to be the best player in the league at that time. Like nobody was ahead of Cynthia Cooper at that time, and this was Cynthia Cooper, who may have been arguably past her prime, but still was playing at a very high level. And then on top of that, Cheryl Swoops slowly started to come into her own. Cheryl Swoops, before she got there, was a national champion and a gold medalist. Tina Thompson the same way. But I mean, it's like you said. I mean, I just don't know if they have the same dynamic as far as their depth, honestly, compared to Minnesota. Like Minnesota, obviously, you had Maya Moore, you had Sylvia Fowles, Simone Augustus, but then you also had great players like Rebecca Brunson. You also had great players like Monica Wright. You talked about Gia Perkins as well. So like they had so many great. Oh yeah, even Renee Montgomery. You know, I think she only won like maybe one or two with them, but just the dynamic that they had as far as like, you know, their starting lineup and the bench, like that's what made them super dangerous, honestly. And if these two teams were to face off in the finals, whether it's the Comets or the Minnesota Lynx, I ain't gonna lie, you don't have an answer for Sylvia Fowles, man. Because Sylvia was just too smooth with it. She was super dynamic, great footwork, great athleticism, strength, you know, could post you up, you know, find ways to score around the rim, could step out and you know, beat you on a face up. Like Sylvia Fowles was just super dynamic. I think that's one like I think that's a center in W history that needs to be talked about a lot more, if you ask me, because Sylvia Fowles might honestly skill wise be better than a lot of bigs in the league, you know, that we may
I
have.
got her right behind Lisa Leslie,
Yeah,
honestly.
honestly, I mean, when you talk about like dynamic bigs, I mean, it's tough because like the league's had so many great bigs, but
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Lisa's up there. Sil's definitely got to be up there too. But yeah, Sylvia was just a matchup nightmare, and I think that's why. And I think like once they got her in 2015, like there was really no stopping them. Honestly, I mean, I know that the Sparks found a way to stop them in 2016, but they came back that next year, played the Sparks again in the finals, and then dominated that one. And Sylvia Fowles was the best player on the team that year. She won MVP that year, and she dominated them, or dominated the Sparks to win Finals MVP as well. So I'll probably say I'll start the Lynx, I'll bench the Comets, and then I'll cut the Aces. And it's tough because I'm gonna just be real. I've said this before, but like I just feel like with the years that Asia Wilson was having during the championship run, people may think different. I got Asia Wilson top 5 all time. Like when you think about like a lot of the accolades that she's accomplished, obviously throughout her career, but just how she was able to do it. Like the scary part was Asia Wilson was winning championships and was still getting better every year. Like that's the scary part. Like in 2022, she had the most complete year, the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, won a gold medal that year as well. Like complete year for her. And I'm thinking, okay, like it can't get no better than this. And then she came back in 2023 and was even better, honestly. When you talk about, you know, I know that she ended up getting snubbed of the MVP, if you ask me, but still won Defensive Player of the Year. Um, you know, obviously still being that anchor for the Aces, but then also just being able to find a way to win that series. Like people don't understand the circumstance of that series when they faced New York in 2023. Game 3, you lose both Kia Stokes and Chelsea Gray, two of your starting players. So now you got to make adjustments, and it wasn't pretty for the Aces, especially I mean with them being going down double digits, especially like, you know, first half, second half, like a little bit of third quarter. But Asia Wilson just continue to keep climbing, and you know, her hitting like one of the bigger shots, you know, down the stretch of that game, honestly. I think that puts her in like the conversation is one of the greatest, honestly. So it's tough because the Aces, you know, in those two championships were super dynamic. And then you talk about what Chelsea Gray did in 2022, probably one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life, honestly. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. Like Chelsea Gray literally could not miss in
Oh,
2022
she was
playoffs.
cooking.
Yeah, she was shooting like she had games where she was shooting like 81, 83%. And this is a guard doing this. And it's really not even off of drives and attacks. This is jumpers that she's doing. And she's shooting around like 75, 80% from the floor in like in a couple of these games. So the Aces definitely had a great dynamic team, but if they had to face off against some of these other teams like the Comets or the Lynx, that's going to be my biggest concern. Now, obviously, they're good enough to make it competitive, but I don't know if they have the same dynamic as those other teams have, respectfully.
So, since they are two-time champions, real briefly, how do you think they fare against the early 2000 Sparks, who was two-time champions, I believe, and the Detroit Shot, who was two-time champions? The Shot, they had a whip, They had Katie Smith, Deanna Tweedy, Nolan, Swing Cash, and Cheryl Ford and Braxton. I think her name's Kara Braxton. I think it was tough to deal with.
Right. Actually, the Shock actually won 3. They won the first one in 03, the second one in 06, and the third one in 08. So they have 3. So they might be a tier ahead of the Aces just because they have more titles. But I mean, the Shock was a tough team. I mean, you mentioned the players there, but like I think they were one of the first teams that really bring like that rugged physicality to the game. And obviously, I mean, when you look at the circumstance of them being coached by Bill Laimbeer, it kind of makes sense. But I mean, the talent was there. I mean, you talked about Deanna Nolan, Swing Cash, Cheryl Ford. Then later on, added Katie Smith. I don't think Katie Smith was on the first team that won the title, but she ended up winning the last 2 with them. Yeah, you talk about players like Ruth Riley and other players as well. Like they had a different dynamic too. And I mean, you look at the circumstance of them. Like they beat the Sparks in 03. That was the Sparks that had just won 2 championships in those previous years. So you find a way to take down the 2-time defending champs. Then in 06, they faced the Monarchs, who had also won a title. Yolanda Griffith was still one of the best players in the league, if you ask me. Found a way to beat them. And then in 08, they ended up finding a way to beat the who they play. Oh yeah, they played San Antonio that year in the finals. And that was coming off with the loss that they had the last year when they lost them to the Mercury in the finals in 07. So that's really all I would say, man. I mean, they could have possibly won 4, but unfortunately they fell short in 07. But the Shock, when you talk about dynasties, the Shock has to be up there. Like they were one of the teams that really ran the 2000s. Honestly, I mean, they may have not had the same like star power as other teams did, but their togetherness was one thing that always stood out, honestly. And because they always played together, that's why they were able to succeed.
Yeah, their takeover player, like when they needed buckets, they'd go to Deanna Nolan.
They were going
mid-range.
They were going to Tweedy and they were going to Katie Smith.
Yeah. And the craziest thing about Nolan, like, I think for a guard, she might have the most bounce I ever seen from a woman.
I think she might be the most athletic guard in W history.
Yeah.
If I think about it, yeah.
Because I remember it was like this All-Star game. Me and my mom used to like watch All-Star games together. You know, at the end when they be doing like the dunks.
Yeah.
Her and fucking Angel McCautry would always try to like dunk with the big. Right there. Like Angel, if she was, I tweeted this out before and they thought I was talking about Angel Reese. But I was like, Angel McCautry was 6'4", 6'5". She would have been the Vince Carter at W. She was trying some outlandish shit. She was throwing alley-oops to herself. She was like trying to do reverse and 360s and all that. So give Angel she would have caught a couple bodies, I think.
She could have. She most definitely could have, honestly. I mean, Angel was special too. I don't think people realize how good she really was, especially during
one of my favorite players ever.
Yeah, easily one of the greatest scorers of all time.
Yeah, she was 6'4". She'd have been dunking on them women, like straight up. It wouldn't have been like a little rim grade. She'd have came down the lane and just she was on that type of time.
Easily, for sure.
But yeah, man, appreciate you pulling up. Definitely want to get that Best Dynasty conversation clipped up. Shout out to the Best Damn W Show. You can find my man Nick Andre on all different type of podcasts, on Twitter, TikTok, all platforms. Anything else you want to shout out, man?
Nah, man. I mean, I appreciate you for bringing me on the show. It's dope to be able to talk some WNBA with you. And on top of that, I mean, I love talking some old W too. I'm actually working on a series right now. It's called the W Genesis, where I kind of dive into like the first 10 years of the W, talk about like different players, different teams and all that. So, I mean, I think this is dope, honestly. And, people be on the lookout for that. But aside from that, make sure to follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Nick Andre ATR. Shout out to the Best Damn W Show. Shout out to my crew, Jay, Lo, Wiley. We've been doing a lot of great things, and the show is continuing to grow every single week. But yeah, I mean, just check me out there, man. You'll see a lot of me and a lot of my content.
For sure. Best Damn W Show is fire, bro. I'll be checking y'all out consistently.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. No matter how much they hate us, man, that hate can't overcome.
Nah, like y'all got actual people that be covering teams to be rocking with y'all, man. That's more than a lot of us have. So if the people that's above you are reaching out and y'all getting media credentials and stuff like that, y'all straight, man. So block out them weak ass miserable haters. People be miserable as fuck on Twitter, man.
We don't let it affect us, man. We ain't never gonna let that affect us. Never that.
So I'm gonna have Jay on a future episode. He even said that. So
now shout out to Jay, man. Jay is super incredible when it comes to like a lot of the content. A lot of people know him as a photographer, but him stepping into this W space, man. He's been doing a good job, man. So he's a great anchor of the show, man. And then of course me and Lo. So we got a great dynamic there, man. Shout out to Jay.
Show, man. Yeah, yo, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.